Now, at the very beginning of creating your mastermind group, you want to maybe put down some initial rules and guidelines and put it in writing. Some ideas like how often you're going to meet. I think a good rule of thumb is that you don't want to meet more often than once a week, but no less than once a month. So you need to think about your schedule and how the schedules of the other people and how they mesh together according to how often you're going to meet. Also put down in your rules and guidelines the idea of absences. How many meetings can people miss before they're no longer part of the mastermind group? Because you want people to be committed and really show up as many times as they can. So can they miss 2 in a period of time, or 3, or 1, whatever you think is right, but there should be some sort of guideline for that. Also in the rules and guidelines, write down how you're going to deal with disruptive personalities. Now, you hope for the best with every person that you invite, but there might be somebody that comes along that is a little disruptive or a lot disruptive, and you need to write down how you're going to deal with that person. Perhaps maybe if there's a majority vote of people that want to vote that person out, something along those lines. It's best to put it in writing before you need it, so that if and when you do need it, you already have a system in place on how to deal with it. And finally, what is the process you're going to have to invite new members? Once the group gets going, and if you want to invite a new member, how do you feel most comfortable doing that? Are you going to have a group vote or an interview where they come to one of the meetings and people interview them? Once you create a mastermind group, the feeling within the group is so special and so tight that when you invite new people, I think it's a good idea to just have an idea of how you want to do that ahead of time. The rule of thumb about where to meet is that you want someplace very comfortable and very quiet so that you can have the best meeting possible. Lots of different places that you can check out to see if you can meet. Libraries are a good place. Churches or synagogues often have meeting spaces. Schools. You can meet at somebody's home, or you can meet at a restaurant. Any of those places can be good. However, keep in mind, if you're in a home, for instance, or a restaurant, you want some place where you're not going to be bothered. So be really careful about where you choose, because the more often you're bothered, the less effective of a meeting you're going to have. You can also have your meetings online. You can do Yahoo support groups or conference calls. I have found, though, that having meetings in person really does facilitate the best meetings. There's something about that chemistry of getting together. So try a few different places and find out what really works best for you and for your group. Well, the first thing you should do is create an agenda so that the meeting has an actual structure to it. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go along. And the other thing, of course, is to remember that there's a facilitator that's going to facilitate or run the meeting so that the meeting stays on track. And if people get off track a little bit in conversation or something like that, the facilitator can bring everybody gently back to the main topic, which is to stay on the agenda. Maybe a great way to begin the meeting is by doing a brief check-in, where you go around the circle. Say there are 4 or 5 people. You go around the circle and every person has about maybe 2 or 3 minutes where they can talk a little bit about the successes that they've had since the last meeting, the wins that they've had, positive things. Not positive things in general, like this was a great movie that I saw, but positive things that relate specifically to the goals of the mastermind group. After you've done that and everybody's had a chance to check in, then you can go back around the group and each member gets about 5 or 10 minutes to talk about their goal update. So that is a chance for them to talk about the goals that they have, maybe what they've done since the previous meeting, the steps that they've taken, the experience that they've had with it. Also, the challenges that they've had as they've gone through it, and really just to talk about their experience as they move toward their goal. No more than 5 or 10 minutes. That's the facilitator should keep time with a clock or a watch so that the meeting stays on track and nobody takes up too much time. After that person has spoken for their 5 or 10 minutes, then you can open it up to the group as a whole so that they can give some feedback for another couple minutes, maybe some solutions, some new ideas, some brainstorming on ways to go further, and also to help create some homework or some goals to set from now until the next meeting. And then at the end of that, then it's the next person, and you do that all the way around the table. After that, when everybody has had a chance to speak, to kind of close the meeting, you can do a lot of different things. You can maybe read, the facilitator can read a short inspirational paragraph from a Napoleon Hill book or another book that brings inspiration to the group. Or maybe the group can have an affirmation or a line, a credo that they say at the end, so that everybody feels like they're on the same page, but that they're leaving the meeting in a very positive place. And that's a great way to bring closure to an important business meeting. After the meeting is over, then anybody can do whatever they want, if they want to go out for dinner or go home or whatever. But during the week, you can also continue to support each other by sending each other supportive emails, checking in with each other, or if you do set up a Yahoo group or something along that lines, you can record your updates during the week online. The best thing to do is to really communicate and decide as a group how you want to communicate and move forward through the week, so that everybody is participating in the same way at the same level, and nobody feels like they're left out or nobody feels like they're doing too much. Really come together as a group and make decisions together. So in closing, let me say this. I've given you a lot of different ideas and guidelines. These are what have worked for me and for the people that I know, but you need to take what works for you and your group, leave behind what doesn't. Now, as you experiment, tinker with it and really see what best brings your group together and facilitates meetings for success. Now, I've given you just very brief guidelines and ideas. I've put them together in an article and added a lot more ideas as well. You can find that article at tarcherbooks.com, and hopefully you'll get even more inspiration on how to start and to create a really successful mastermind group.